So it's bloody complicated, this doing these web things. And look, it's something about me when I start talking and start revving. So I've just done one and I wasn't sure about it. And now it's gone. And I'm like, well, I spent 5 minutes of my life, doing this bloody thing. But actually for me, it's a video diary of memories about my life that maybe one day will be shared with my, ancestors. Because to be honest with you, I never listened to a word that my mother said about the stories she'd shown me years and years. And then years later, when she'd gone, we were like, do you remember that story? What was it about? And we hadn't listened because she repeated it every day for 50 years. So I'll talk about some of the incidents I've experienced while being over here in America. One of them is, a lot of stuff happened in the hospital. There was so much things and so much fun and laughter. And one of them, I had this patient, and they were all in single rooms. She was quite a big lady. And the PCT came to me, who's like the nurse's aide or whatever you want to say, and said, she's in the Mew Mew. So I took in the Mew Mew, right, to be stark naked in the corridor. So I said, well, did you put something on her or not? And I went running around the corner, and a Mew Mew's like this big frigging caftan type shit, right? I was like, oh my God. Of course, as well, I mean, a lot more drug seekers over here. A lot of drugs, you have to learn the new name. When I first came here, I didn't know nothing. I was like a frigging student nurse. And, the names were different. Of course, things like cocaine and heroin and LSD and cannabis. Oh, I didn't have to learn them, so that was a bonus, wasn't it? Only joking. So anyway, you move along and you've met people and things happen and some of the things are just so like, oh, did somebody just say that to me? So one of the things was, it's always about my accent. And hear my accent? Well, for 15 years that we've been in the States, there isn't a day go by when I'm out and about, obviously not when I'm at home, that someone doesn't say, oh, I love your accent. Well, let me tell you, it's not a good accent in the UK. And so I'm kind of reveling in it. I'm kind of thinking, yeah. I mean, I think it's a great accent, but most of the UK said, oh, she's a Manc because I'm from Manchester. And then if I mention the word Manchester, that I come from Manchester, England, it's normally, what soccer team do you support? Blue or red? I'm like, oh, I don't really support football. But anyway, a lot of the times they want to pin you down and ask you. We've got this delivery guy at the moment that keeps bringing food to us at work. And every time he sees me, right, I must be that forgettable. He says to me, whereabouts are you from? And I said, so on Friday I said, I'm not telling you because I've told you 3 times. What part of I'm so unforgettable? It's bloody insult. So we got that, and then, as nurses, and especially nurses in England, and I was a midwife, as you know, you get used to just being very open and very able to discuss about people's conditions, health conditions, this oozes, that oozes. And when we first got here, having just come fresh from England and learning a lot in that period of time, I'd said this husband and wife were at this party that we were at, and she said that she had a newborn baby and she was breastfeeding. I said, oh, have you got sore nipples? Well, don't say things like that over here. And the man almost fell in the fucking pool. I mean, really? Nipples. We can look at boobs on photographs, but let's talk about nipples. Ooh, 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 in a natural environment. So those are the sort of things that I've kind of met and loved and looked through the last 15 years. And, I don't know if I've told you before, but I had a major car accident, major. And we were stationary on the I-10 in Arizona. I think it was the I-10 or the I-19, doesn't matter. Both racetracks. No rules, regulations or laws. And we ended up stopping because there was an accident, like maybe about 200 yards in front of us. So we stopped. Unfortunately, the 18-wheeler that was going 85 miles an hour didn't stop. So we were kind of injured. in the accident. And then what I've heard for the last 15 years was it because you're an American you were driving on the wrong side of the road? What? I'm not driving on the fucking wrong side of the road. I'm driving on the... I wasn't driving, I was stationary. But we've heard that a lot. And you know, we're really proud to be here. I'm proud to be British and I'm proud to be American. And the stories will go on because trust me, nobody ever understands what I say. Ever. And then if I speak like this, they really don't understand what I'm saying because we speak really fast in Manchester. But I slow down my word because I don't want to repeat myself 100 times. What? I said this. What? I said this. And nobody has a clue what I'm saying. So a lot of the time they'll nod. And I think that wasn't a sentence for you to nod. That was a sentence to have an answer. But they'll go. And of course you get used to that. So you know that they can't understand a word. And you have to look in your pocketbook to see if you can find the right word to use. Anyway, good afternoon from me.